Exactpro is an independent software testing services provider for financial market infrastructures, delivering industry-recognized expertise and bespoke solutions for automation and testing to exchanges, post-trade platforms, and banks across 20 countries. The firm also facilitates a variety of large-scale transformation programs related to DLT and cloud implementations at these systemically important organizations. Some of the key contributors to our success as a company include relentless learning from the most challenging transformational projects in the industry, adherence to our industry-proven principles of software testing, as well as staying focused on providing the necessary growth opportunities for our people. Get in touch with us via email or visit our website to learn more about Exactpro services, and do follow us on social media for the announcements of in-person events we will participate in the next few months.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of AI Testing Talks. My name is Anna Maria, and I'm your host today. I work in Exactpro, and I am Outreach Director of our educational project's AI testing course. If you're interested in leveling up your career or discovering ways to leverage the power of AI tools, do check out our website to learn more about the award-winning ISTQB accredited AI testing course. And breaking news, Black Friday promo code is still valid today and tomorrow and will help you to save up to 30% of the first purchase. The next intake of the course, packed with 6 live workshops, is scheduled in February. Secure your spot today by following the link in LinkedIn chat for more information. It will appear soon there. Going back to our webinar, co-hosting with me today is Exactpro co-CEO and co-founder, AI testing practitioner, Yosif Etkin. Hi, Yosif.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Anna Maria.
Hi. It's good to see you. For everyone who joined us for the first time, in this series of webinars, we explore artificial intelligence and its technology and its application in real projects. And this year, in 2024, we have covered topics on generative AI, AI-powered test tools, AI biases, the role of AI in software testing, and many more. And you will find the link to other webinars also in LinkedIn chat very soon. And today's guest is software testing and development practitioner with 20 years of experience, with a great passion to make test automation easier, faster, and accessible for any kind of the team, QA team, with help of AI-powered tools. CEO and co-founder of Whoopee, Marcel Veselka. Hello, Marcel, and welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. So while Marcel is sharing his presentation and start his speech, I wanted to remind you all that you can submit your questions to Marcel via LinkedIn chat during the speech, and we will follow them right after the presentation. Thank you very much. Marcel, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. So I'm super excited to start this talk. Hopefully you can see my slides. If not, Anna, please let me know. Welcome to the talk.
Yes. All is visible. Thank you.
So welcome to my talk about Playwright Bot and some AI-powered test automation. I would like to start with a very short introduction of the agenda, what I would like to cover, and then I will go through that details. So first, I would like to talk about autonomous testing, which might be super new for you, or you might say I already heard about that. So I'll give you some quick update of the topic and share the idea. Then I'll be talking about augmenting Playwright with some AI and LLM features and how we could maybe improve our efficiency in that area. Then I'll be talking about some small tool we are building and already published for Playwright community, so you could use that. But based on this example, I would like to show you how you could simplify your test automation. And at the end, I will also tell you something about like recent changes and improvements, but if you see it first time, then maybe this is part of the previous point. Before I will start, let me introduce myself very quickly. I'm a passionate tester since 2004, when I started as a manual tester. I went through many different roles, from test management, performance testing, test automation, even building some testing company. And now I am fully focused on building the future, I believe, which is autonomous testing, and specifically autonomous testing for web apps. And I found startup for that just last year with name Wopi.io. So some of these ideas we are using to build our own tool. I won't talk about the tool itself, but I'll be talking about the ideas which might be useful for you to reuse also in your daily practice. So let me first try to introduce the term of autonomous testing. For that topic, I have a couple of talks, and we can spend hours on this topic. But to simplify it for today's session, I decided to define it by very simple two items. One is we are trying to reduce human involvement in software testing in order to make it more efficient, or in order to be able to deliver more with the same amount of capacity. And the second is to do so, we are introducing some AI augmentation or AI tools and features which help us to do so. This is very high level definition of autonomous testing, but by purpose I let it on this level. And from here, I will go into more details in area of Playwright to show you some specific example how this could be done. If you would be interested in more theoretical part of this, I believe there might be some interesting topics on that training Maria was talking about. And you could also go to our website, and under the blog post, you can find more details. Let me now move on to the Playwright part of this story. And I would like to share with you one of my experience. Last couple of years, I'm delivering a lot of workshops and training for our customers. And one of that was first prototype using some AI with Playwright. So for that, we built simple idea. Imagine that you have this kind of UI, and for the UI, you need to prepare some automation script to interact with the app and validate whether it works. In order to do so, you need to understand how the Playwright itself works, but you also need to search in that website for some locators. So if I want to click on any button, any element, or if I want to fill the elements, I need to understand that there is probably some ID of the element or some other type of locator to identify that element and then interact with that element or asset. For this, I built very simple idea or prototype, and I create something what we called Copilot, or basically simple method or object with couple of functions. And one action was action, and another function was fill form. These are the two we created. And instead of writing this complicated locator, XPath or CSS locator, you could just use simple in English to instruct your code what to do. So instead of page.click and then the locator, you could just say, okay, I would like to navigate to login page. And then the code brings you to the login page. So you're basically speeding up the way how you implement your test. Same we built as an advanced idea for filling forms. So now I was able to fill the form by simple calling this function and get some code. So then it looks like this. I just navigate to the page and then call the function, and I was able to log in. So this is how it worked. This is just simple demo app, and I'll be using this demo app later for some other examples. But what's the beauty of this approach? And of course, there are multiple challenges I'll be talking later about. But what's the beauty of this approach is that you don't need to read HTML code and try to find out all the locators. You can, on the fly, generate them. And I was just trying to play with the example. And what we did, we used the same code for completely different website. And we've got different instructions, but like business flows were the same. So I was able to navigate through the page. And this is, as I said, prototype we built and used, and it worked. And we decided that this might be a good starting point to build something more advanced. And one of our vision at WOPI is that give me a URL and I will return back the testing report for you. So this is the autonomous testing vision we are working on. We are not there yet. We have such a tools already implemented, but it covers only some simple scenarios. So what we decide that we will like experiment further or prototype further is that we will build some test script creation process which will be completely automatic. Because when we are talking about test automation, people are not covering authoring and maintenance. These are still manual. So the idea behind was, okay, let's move this idea further and bring the automation into test creation. So instead of writing this code, I will try to automatically create that. So we introduced some process to do so, which might be a bit complicated, so I'll try to explain it. So we have something we call crawler, or basically simple robot, which is able to navigate through the page and collect some basic information about the application itself. What it does, it collects all the URL links which could find. It collects all the HTML files from the website and collects some screenshots. Then we store the data for future use. And the first step in that process is that from this data, we generate user stories. And these user stories use our LLM its screenshots to do so. And once we have it, from the user stories, you can review and tweak it. And then we generate tests and later automation code. So basically, you just need to input URL and we deliver executable code. I'll have a demo for that later, but what's important, and it still need to be there need to be always some review and tweaks on the process. So it's not replacing us, because some people are asking, okay, so this could completely replace test automation engineer. It can't, because it's just speeding up your activities and helping you to improve efficiency. So we believe you need to always step in, review, approve, and then proceed further to the next step. And I'll show you how it looks when we run it against our demo app I use for the login screen with the first idea. So when we start with the screenshots, this was the set of screenshots. You could also notice that there is one 404 error message in the middle of the screenshots. There was some login, some gallery page, checkout page, home page, and what else? Contact page in the middle. Top middle screenshots is about the contact page. And from this, we were able to generate some user stories. These user stories just basically explain what user could do with the application itself. It is a good maybe source for regression testing later. It also provides acceptance criteria and some priorities, and I could easily understand how the application works. Of course, there might be some stupid idea which were generated just based on the screenshots. So you can always step in and change that generated user stories. Once you have this, you can go further and generate from these acceptance criteria and user stories some real test cases. So the next step is again using some LLM to generate the test cases, and then you can use these test cases to automate the entire flow. So the next step is to generate the Playwright code. What I was promising at the beginning that it'll be about the Playwright. So at the end, we were able to generate some codes, but you could already see that human involvement is necessary, because you probably heard a lot about some hallucination of LLM, and in this case, there are some assumptions which are not correct. Like after submitting a login screen, we are not navigating to dashboard. Or filling the card number wouldn't work because there are four fields instead of one. And many similar things. So one of the improvements we decided to do is that not using only images, but we are also feeding LLM with HTML. So it could easily spot these kind of issues, but still to optimize the entire flow, if you remember these four boxes I was presenting, you need to tweak it a bit by involving human and also adding some extra context or information to make it more efficient. So in order to do so, we introduced two more processes, and I don't want to spend too much time on that. So I'll skip this. If you are interested in more details, you can read it later. But we introduce to improve the entire output two processes. One is dry run, which basically run the test, collect the failures, and feed back again to LLM the existing code and the failures and all the previous data we collected from crawling to finalize the test code. And the second one is expansion process, which basically do very similar activity, but the goal is not fix the tests, but to expand and improve coverage. So you can basically generate more test cases by understanding how the application works because you already run some tests. You can imagine this that process similar to exploratory testing, that first time when you go through that application, you don't understand all the details. You start testing some pieces, but as you go deeper and deeper, you understand better how the application works. So you can expand that test you could conduct through the app. So this is basically two processes which we add on top of the basic one to make it more quality outputs or to get more quality outputs. And I have just one example to show you this, which is this testing the non-existing page. So if you navigate to non-existing page, we were able to improve the locators and validate all these asserts by adding this HTML into the process and improve that test, which is now functional. This was at the beginning very raw prototype, and the raw prototype was running in Python notebook, and there was a lot of not very user-friendly things. And one of the way how we are building it, as I mentioned, it's already inbuilt in our solution at WOPI, but we've got from Playwright testers feedback that they would like to, or they would love to play with the code, and they would love to use it as a part of the Playwright testing. So then we introduced NPM package. If you are the one excited about the idea and would like to play with it, you just need to navigate to our GitHub repository and you could find all the details, all the instruction, how to set it up and how to use it. But basically it's NPM package. So if you are from Node or JavaScript web development world, you just need to pull out from npm repository the package, install it. You need to set up OpenAI keys to run it. We are preparing also our own API. I'll be talking later about that. And then you have 4 commands which you execute to get the results. I'll show you demo in a few minutes. So let's now move on. And from the slides, I was explaining how it works. I would like to now bring it to the terminal. So I already have my project set up. I have all the necessary configuration set. I download and install the package or clone the repository of demo and run it there. You can do it as well. And to do so, I'm now starting with simple crawling, and then we will generate user stories. So what I need to do, you could see on the top that there is a config file I need to set up. And then I start crawling. And in my config file, I decided to use my demo app, which is dronjovop.io. And that's the simple app for selling drone. And you can see that I collect some HTML files. They were already pre-processed to be ready for LLM to be used. And you could see some screenshots as well I collected from the website I'm crawling. You could use your website you are testing or web app you are testing. And once I have this data collected, I'm now generating user stories. Of course, sometimes you need to accept cookies or you need to log in. In my demo, it is not prepared, but in documentation, you can find the instruction how to set it up, even including the setting up the login. So basically now it's generating the stories. It takes, I don't know, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes to do so. I think it's something like 45 seconds. And then you are getting the user stories. It's generated in Markdown. So you can see and you can discuss with your business colleagues whether these are the most important user stories or behaviors of user, which should be covered and automated later for the regression testing. But this is suggestion from our LLM model based on the instructions we get there. So you could see that maybe writing this down by some test analyst or business analyst would take a couple of hours. We could get that in a couple of minutes. Of course, you might spend maybe hour or two to tune it up, to shape it, but it's still much quicker than writing it from the scratch. You can enhance the instructions, so you can improve the quality by setting that or instructing that you don't want to have only 3 priorities, but you have priority A, B, C, D, E, or something else. So all this could be tweaked. And once we have it, you just run your crawler, collect data, and generate the user stories. So once you have the user stories, for instance, like this one, I just copy paste that one of my run here into the table. Then the next step is that from these user stories, you generate the tests. So the next demo would be about the user stories and tests we are generating. These tests are manual, so still we are not automating using Playwright, but this might be even useful for manual testers. And I was chatting before the webinar with Anna Maria, and she said, you know, we are maybe more on the backend side or the API side, but this approach could work for API. You probably need to change the input data, and at the end you are getting some tests to cover on the API side. So the flow, the idea could work with API as well. Actually, one of our early tester of this reported me back that he got instructions from this Playwright bot that use Postman for this particular scenario because that's not the good idea to use Playwright. Even Playwright could do the REST API testing as well. So let's move on and let's generate from the stories I mentioned, the test cases. And you do it by simply running this command npm run tests. Again, we are just using existing data we collect from the crawling, combining it with the data we generate, review and approve that they are correct. So now I'm generating test cases. Once this is done and I'm happy with the test cases, I might remove or add or adjust the existing ones. Then the next step would be to generate the code. So I finished now with the generating of the test. I'll just quickly show you how it looks. Then, as I said, I have also on my slide some examples I've written from previous runs. So if we would like to see it in a better view, then let me switch to the next slide to show you how it would look like. So you could see that there are some test case IDs, then mapping to the user stories we generated previously, description, prediction, test steps, expected result, and priority. Of course, if you would like to have a different columns or structure, this could be customized using the tool. So once I have it, the next step is to generate the executable code. And to do so, I just run again another simple command and feed that with the data I already collected or generated in the past, and I'm getting the result. You might see or you might notice on the test folder on the left side, there is one file, example.spec.ts. After running this, you will get some other files which were generated based on previous data. And hopefully it will be soon done. It takes a couple of seconds. Again, my record was maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes, like the longest run. Let's see how long does it take now. But at the end, I will get some set of files to see that. So hopefully it will be soon done. Okay, it's done. And you can see that in the test folder, there are files already generated. So now you can modify them or basically approve and commit into your project and use them for the test execution. So that's it. As I said, or as I mentioned already in previous runs, if you are using the HTML as a part of that LLM requests or prompts, you are getting more quality data or more quality outputs. So always some people ask, okay, but this might be pretty stupid approach because LLM is stupid. It doesn't know my application and how this could work. In my case, we have complex scenarios. Of course, it's not magic. Of course, you need to provide some context. Of course, you could even include your functional specification, or you could use, I delivered to one customer approach where they had coding standards or coding guidelines. So we bring it in, and then the naming convention for the tests were following the standards or variable naming convention and many other topics which were covered in the guideline were part of that outputs we were able to deliver. So recent improvements, actually, this is, I think I started with the idea during the summer, and I involved last 6 weeks some early testers, and just this week we publish it so you can use it. But there was a few feedback coming from people. One was to setting up the context to handle more cookies and login using this approach. So it's already there. You can use that. We also bug fixed a lot of issues which were there, and I was like a regular developer. Instead of testing it, I was just developing new ideas and features there. So now it should be more stable and working. I believe there are much more bugs, and I believe there will be a lot of ideas coming. So if you would be interested to help me to shape it for the future, this is the QR code. You can follow that and respond to some of the questions, and then I will add you on my list and let you know whenever we release some new cool features. And we also working based on the feedback on something which might be better than OpenAI like standard model, because the testing web apps require some specific response or behavior of the model. So we are building, sometimes I call it model, sometimes I call it API because it's some kind of hybrid. But if you would register via the QR code, then part of that package is that we are giving away free access for first 1,000 users for 1 year to use it. There will be better crawler using more AI approach. We will also fine tune it for web app testing and a lot of other stuff like memory of the model and some caching and uploading more context would be there. So if you are interested, and if you are interested about the news in this area, then just register via the QR code. As I said, now it's public. You can try it. You can go, and these are the links I mentioned previously. Either you could go to GitHub on the right side. You can see these two links. I would suggest this dash demo at the end, or you can go directly to npm.js to use the tool. But I will skip probably this authentication topic to have more time for the discussion. but this is the approach how you could set it up. You just run Playwright code gen and then add that authorization details from your browser storage as a part of run. I also mentioned one of the recent news is this WOPIO API and model where you could use the AI crawler. This will be available in January, and you could use that one. And that's basically it. I hope I covered the most interesting parts. I believe this could be general enough to maybe motivate you or inspire you how you could build it. At the end, it's just API call to OpenAI, but there is a lot of data and context you need to collect, pre-process, and feed, including the prompts. And if you are interested in this, the one of the maybe first step might be to play with this and then build your own. With that, I would like to thank you. I was running quickly through the slides because I felt like I have not enough time. So hopefully we have now more time for the question and we could finish earlier or later based on the juicy discussion which will follow. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Marcel. Thank you. Thank you very much. With the slides, you've been running really very quickly. That's why we will have to go back to the slides for sure. And ask questions there. And just to let everyone know who watches us right now, we will send this presentation via email, and as well as the links that I mentioned previously, so everyone will be having access to everything that was just said by Marcel. Thank you again, Marcel. So I see that we have questions in the chat already. We will address them very quickly. But before we doing that, so on your slide right now, I see several terminology, different terminologies related to testing. It's autonomous testing bot, autonomous, on the previous slide, there was autonomous augmented AI, augmenting Playwright AI, and so on. So my question here, let's start with triple A and ask how you can describe automation, autonomy, and AI augmentation.
Okay. That might be a bit long story, but I have a
We have
extra
time.
talk. I have extra talk on that topic. So there are some phases or eras of software testing. We start in the past there was no testers at all. Usually developers did their job by testing. Later we start allocating some specific people to execute the tests, and a lot of stuff was done manually. And then we said, okay, we cannot keep up with development. We need to speed up. The sprints takes just 2 weeks, and we need to go out and cover somehow the regression testing. So we introduce automation. But that I would say it's problem shift rather than problem solved. Because what you are doing by introducing automation, you are speeding up the test execution, but you are introducing two relatively big problems. One is the creation of the tests, which in compared to writing the test into Excel, you are now writing it in some programming language. And the second problem is then you need to maintain. So when I was running my manual testing and I found out that the button is not next, but it's submit instead of on the title, I could easily change it and continue. But now in test execution, you run your set of tests and you need to then maintain them. So that was the automation era or phase. And I think we are still living this, but the next stage is moving to autonomous testing, which basically cover entire end-to-end process of testing from planning, test analysis and design, automation, test execution, maintenance, test reporting, everything could be automated in some way. And some people start calling this autonomous testing. And if you look at the Gartner reports, one of the big players in that era advising IT companies what they should focus on and where is the innovation, they start using this term autonomous testing. But the skeptical part of our industry says, okay, but this is nothing special. It's just better automation. We could always bring automation somewhere else than into execution. And we actually did in our industry because preparing test data is often now done automatically. So that might be one maybe small example. But we are rolling out the automation into different parts, which might be pretty difficult to automate. But now with AI, we are much more efficient in that areas. So, but then Gartner, after 3 years of publishing this autonomous testing will eat up entire testing industry, they change their statement. They said, aha, maybe it's not autonomous testing, it's AI augmented testing. So the methodology a bit changed in, I think last year. It was the first report where they announced that there is no autonomous testing anymore in the hype cycle, and they start using term AI augmented. But basically what we are now searching in the industry is how we could increase our efficiency in software testing using AI.
So it still needs human interaction and some human power with it. Because your bot is called autonomous testing bot. But before that, you've been showing us challenges with the number of the credit card to be entered within the window, or some other things that humans should, or hallucinations with extra fields or whatever showing up. So meaning that human interaction is still needed there within your testing bot that you've been talking about.
Yes,
or it's the goal.
but it's, yeah, one thing is a vision or the goal where we want to go, or what path to follow. Another one is where we are now, because I believe some ideas could be maybe I'll stop sharing here. Some ideas could be implemented in some way that it will be just better automation. But if you keep investing into that, it's transition, it's transformation. So what I believe now, it's not there, but in couple of steps, you could get there. If I would now chain these 4 commands I demo into one, then I would get some output at the end. So I would get from URL executable code. And if I would have another command there, I would get the results. So I would get the testing report. But what about the quality? Is it good enough? Is it failing?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we need to
Yes.
still involve humans. But my question, or what we are working on, is to keep that involvement as little as possible. And what we are solving, what's the problem we are solving, is how we could eliminate human involvement in each and every step to focus only on what's important.
Can you talking about human involvement? We have one question in the chat. I'll just read it out loud. So, do we need you probably need to share one of the slides that you have. Do we need locators set up by the developer in the code, or can they be created on the go by a certain tool?
It's generated. Everything is generated, including the locators.
And it's generated. Sorry, Josip, please.
Yes. So to clarify, what you're doing is you're taking a screenshot and HTML as an input, potentially. And then you get as the output from the model a list of locators that you can link to a human prompt on performing particular action. So there are three inputs: screenshot, HTML, and also inputs of what we are trying to do. And then it is building code from.
Yeah, actually, how it works, we at each and every stage, you need to provide some context. And this context is provided via some data, and the data might be HTML files. And for the locators, you need to provide HTML files because or the LLM is taking the information about locators from there. Then for the business behavior or user behavior, you need to have a screenshot. Based on that screenshots, we could guess, okay, there are two fields. One is email and second one is password. And there is some button below the form. So probably that's login. So we can, from that, generate the user stories or test cases as well. And once I have these test cases, I'm using it as one of the input to generate the code to automate. But that's the test case is generated and combined with HTML.
But do you think it will scale, say, if instead of the website with several links and say, instead of Google homepage, we will look at something like Google Mail. So we have a screenshot of the Google Mail.
Yeah,
what will it extract from?
Yeah, I was testing this for like 10 screenshots at once. So if you have 10 different types of the screens, you could use it. I was testing it also with Figma. And I really inviting all the other testers to play with that and let me know whether it would work then for something bigger. But I expect that there is some threshold for the super complex apps, this might not be enough. That's why we are introducing this our API to integrate with. And for that, we need to add something we call RAG. I don't know whether you know the term. It's basically some extension of LLM in short, where we are able to add some additional data into LLM and feed that as a part of our prompting. So I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't feel I'm an expert on that area, but basically it works in a way that you cut down the entire data you have, all the context, into small chunks. You put it into one big database, and whenever you call the prompt, you attach some small pieces from the database to enrich the context to get better results. And this is usually done because of the size of the data or context you have, so you cannot provide it at once. Or sometimes you need to store some historical data you want to share with the model. So for that, we are now building the component to enrich the context and increase the quality and scalability of the solution.
Our first video in this webinar series was with Paul Gerard. He explained how he's trying to use RAG in order to support software testing activities.
Okay, so I need to watch that.
Yeah, very interesting one. Okay, the next question would be about producing user stories. So user stories usually are requirements to the system, for the system. So why would we produce them from observed behaviors? So it's not really requirement.
Yeah, that's a great question. My goal was to build something end to end. So I have usually that's the real life that we as a testers are still having some trouble with requirements or assignment. It's unclear or incomplete. So I felt, okay, if you have anything which is valuable, you can step in and put it into the process. So you don't need to start. If we look at this chart here, you do not need to start with crawling. You might bring your Figma images or designs and use that one. You don't need to bring your, I don't know, you don't need to generate the user stories. You might bring your own, or you might even bring your functional specification or any other business analyst output we could use to generate the tests. Or you could bring your manual tests and generate only the automation part. So this is flexible. That's why there are 4 steps instead of one, because you can always start from the middle, or you can start from the first step and then step in and enrich it with your data or tweak the data we generated or processed. So this is all possible. So take this user stories as an example, how I could quickly get some assignment from app which is already running. Because what we are typically doing is that we automate regression testing. And regression testing is usually done against the app which is already running and somehow stabilized. Of course, you are starting the regression testing with the new release, but still there are some features already there, like registration and login for already couple of weeks, months, sometimes years. You don't want to now search for some user stories how the registration should work. And some people told me that they are happy about the user stories generator because they don't have it. So they said, okay, this is not only the testing tool, it's also some business analyst tool to help them to prepare that. So in short, you don't need to use it if you don't want to. But I see some benefits if it's available.
Thanks, Yosef, for the questions. I can continue with mine if you don't mind. Going back to RAG and LLMs that you've been mentioning, my question was around the whole concept. So you've been showing actions in your chat in your testing bot, which I understood that these actions are calling your prompts that were put into LLM. In your case, it was Microsoft Copilot, right?
No, it was OpenAI.
Or OpenAI. So my question here, like lots of small questions around this. Does it matter which LLM, in terms of technology that you're using and the code, which LLM are you using? The first one. Another one, how do you ensure the consistent output from LLM? Because we don't know what it is inside, but I understand that you will respond with RAG that we just discussed. Probably it's the case, but please comment on that. And I had another one in the very end about test generation. I think I will follow up with that because otherwise we will forget.
The first questions,
Yes,
otherwise I will be lost very soon.
Yes.
So model. I was playing with a couple of models and I don't see big difference. I saw a lot of discussion and people are excited to fight between each other and saying, okay, maybe Claude would be better than OpenAI or use Gemini for this one. But it need to be fine-tuned for specific model because sometimes you need to have some different prompts or data need to be adjusted. You need to also consider context window, so how much data you could feed in. That's one of the thing. But apart from that, I don't see any reason to use anything else. The reason why I'm using OpenAI, because for me, it's super quick, simple, convenient to use, and cheap. If you would like to build it in-house, you could do it using other models. That's why we are also building this API to our model so we can deliver everything on-site, on-prem, so you don't need to use any public LLMs to do so. So in short, I don't see any difference between models, like small ones, but I decided to give up to comparing them for simple reason. It would make me so busy to find out the best one that I wouldn't do anything else. And in 3 to 6 weeks, I would lose again because there would be someone else coming with a new, better model.
Yeah, I
So,
saw your slides about how many LLMs are out there already.
okay, I see.
Have you tried to use Grok in fun mode to generate user stories?
No, I don't, but maybe I should try.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yosef, do you want to continue?
Well, on generation, say, I think we discussed it internally with you. So what if we use LLM with non-zero temperature? We are likely to get a different result every time we run this process. So if we
Yes.
produce user stories, they will be different every single time.
Yeah,
So
I don't know whether I should answer in this way to you, because there is one is the very technical discussion. We can discuss how to do that. And of course, you can tweak the temperature and you can play with it. But if you provide good enough context, like very specific instructions, then you are getting much like consistent results. But if we are now talking about some AI, this is philosophical question to you. How you guarantee that your testing team delivering consistent results? Humans. And how important it is? And what you would do with that? And I have some question and opinion about that, but I would like to hear you.
Well, most of the humans are afraid of something. In contrast to AI, we as humans have finite lifespan and also limited resources, and also afraid for our survival. So when humans test, they are concerned about the possibility to lose space, to lose their income, job, or freedom, or something like that. So it is how we make sure that humans test properly.
Okay, but I think this could be simplified again into technical language. It's some context they have. They understand their position. They understand what it means for them. And of course, you told that in some way, but probably you could improve your context for the tool itself. But consistency question is a good one, but we don't have it now with manual approach anyhow. And if we could turn it back to like traditional automation and start scripting it, but the question is it scalable? Same question is for the humans. Is it scalable to make sure that it'll be more consistent by using humans for that? I don't know. I don't think so. So I'm super optimistic about this, and this is something I sometimes laugh on the question about the consistency, because we are not consistent as a humans. Even if we would program it, like prescribe all the steps, one test automation engineer will implement it in one way, another one will implement it in another way. So what we are competing against, or what we are comparing with, I don't feel like that's I don't see any problem with that consistency. It's a feature rather than bug.
Makes sense. On a technical level, have you tried to reconcile the generated user stories versus original requirements? So have you tried to apply it to any project that already has a set of user stories, and then you use this procedure to produce
No,
generated user stories and
it's
try
so
to see?
early. It's so early stage. that I was not able to do that. That's why I'm inviting people to help me to test it and use it and give me the feedback and report whatever issues they have. It's too early to give you any lesson learned from uh, reverse engineering.
I hope that our discussion will give you some food for thought about what is left
Yeah.
within the project.
On the crawling, so I do like idea of modularity very much. So it indeed makes lots of sense that instead of a single integrated box, there are several different steps, and it is possible to replace on every individual step. So I do like it very much. But still, have you received any feedback on using crawling as the first step? Because say, if I'm looking at it, it might be quicker for a human to go and to click on a number of things rather than the script going without any context or data. So as Anne-Marie mentioned, without having a real credit card or valid credit card number, trying to go into purchase page. So maybe recording might be considered as a more straightforward technique rather than crawling.
Actually, that initial data gathering could be done in different ways, and I've got such a like one of the trouble of crawler is that it's really stupid approach. You just shoot on the website and collecting the screenshots and HTMLs. So we discussed that how we could collect the data better. And one is that you already have you might have the data, you might have the wireframes and everything prepared somewhere or designed how it should look like. The application is not built. So that's one of the source. And another one nice idea was that what about building the like Chrome plugin? So you have the record and play there, and let the first run to be conducted by manual tester, and from there we could start like exploratory testing without any preparation. Just go through the app, click through that, do some like intelligent steps, and from there we could generate the scenarios. Another idea how to gather data was what about monitoring production? Because typically the systems might be already running, and maybe we could collect the user behavior and use that data. And then the question is whether we could use the logs or we could record the videos of the users or how to process, collect, and automate this data gathering. But there are a couple of other ideas around how this could be done. But at the end, you need to have some relevant materials. And for us, the efficient way is screenshots for user stories and for test cases as well to generate the outputs. And then for the automation, you need to have entire HTML code because the locators are there. We cannot read it from, we could guess, but I don't believe it will work. Or I'm 100% sure it's not about the belief that it won't work. So you need to collect the HTML files from the web app. Or we could, because this is Playwright Bot, there is another approach, but now maybe I'm just blowing up with the ideas how it could be rearranged, is that if you would run this against any UI, you could use different approach. So instead of using locators and DOM, you identify the elements or objects on the screen, and you clicking on specific coordinates or filling the data into some specific object by saying click on XY coordinates and then type these four characters. So it would be a bit different. And actually, there is one AI model from Anthropic, which should support this interaction with any computer. I didn't try that. It's like maybe 1 month ago they announced, maybe only 2 weeks, they announced this. And maybe instead of using Playwright, using the model, that would be more generic and I could use it like that. But the question was about data collection. So yes, I was discussing or discussing and thinking about some other approaches to do so.
Thank you, Marcel. I have a few more questions, if I may. Regarding the test generation, I'm very sorry. Let's go back to that because in the very last step that you're doing, you're producing based on the stories, you're producing the tests. And then you are showing the next slide where you show how do you ensure that the tests are efficient and you're fixing the bugs within the tests and so on. So my question is, what parameters or how do you understand that the tests that are produced iteratively, I believe you're checking it with LLM, how your final tests are good in full coverage of the functionality of the system? How do you see that? What parameters do you use, or what stops you for going to LLM again to
Okay,
fix
the
more
coverage
and
is
more?
it's a big topic, and I was discussing this topic a couple of times on various projects with various customers and various roles as well. And first, I think what need to be understood is what coverage means according some theory, in practice, tooling, and so on. And I would start with simple statement. You can tweak your coverage however you want, and you could get the coverage right, make your stakeholders happy. So what coverage we are talking about, and then we can discuss how to assure that it will be good enough. Because if we are talking about, okay, are we covering screens or are we covering each and every line of code? Are we covering each and every function? Are we covering each and every business process? There might be so many different coverages that until I don't understand the goal, and even I would understand, I would be very skeptical discussing coverage because I also saw that it's also good tool for marketing. Some people are saying, no, you need to have a higher coverage. You need to test more. But if you advising these companies to run the efficient testing approach, sometimes you are trying to minimize coverage as you could to keep the risk under control, or you can cover risk as well. So it really depends what you are covering. So in short, it's complicated question. Without context, it would be very unprofessional to answer yes, no, right, left, something simple. And in this case, using the tool, you need to do it manually. You need to check it, what are the outputs and whether you are happy or not. And if not,
So the tool does not provide any reporting in terms of comparison between what specification requires and what you are
no,
actually covering
no,
with the
and
tool.
my talk is not about the tool itself. It's about the ideas, how you could
Yeah.
increase your
Yeah,
efficiency.
but do
So,
you
yeah.
plan to
Yeah,
implement
yeah,
that?
yeah. So no, no one asked me about the coverage yet, and I did a lot of discussions about the coverage in past, and I remember when developers told me, okay, unit testing, you need to have some certain coverage. What is the percentage? I will make sure that you will get that. And it was not writing more tests. They were able to tweak that in a way. So the coverage discussion might be a bit
Yeah,
tricky.
it's totally understandable. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Another question, why you have opted in working with Playwright at the same time when we have Selenium, which has been dominating the market for so many years,
Yeah, yeah,
and we have so many open source solutions out there, but you decided to go with the Playwright.
yeah.
What do you have in mind?
If I would, there are a couple of things. First, there is a lot of discussion what's the best tool to use, right? So everyone search for the best one. And for you, it might be Selenium. For me, it might be Cypress, and for Yosif, it might be, I don't know, something completely else, Catalan. And Playwright is now booming. Whatever you could see out there, it's all about Playwright. Even people from Cypress start talking about Playwright. Even Cypress implements some features integrating Playwright into Cypress to be able to test WebKit. Maybe it's not true anymore, but I was laughing when I saw that. So for me, Playwright has decent momentum where I could learn from community, where I could contribute. And usually when I'm deciding for some tool and I'm starting from scratch, I'm always asking myself, what has big enough potential to invest my time, learn it, and improve my skills, and also have some decent impact for next 4 to 6 years. So that's my philosophical approach. Whenever I'm starting with something, I always want to invest into something which will not like blow up in interest and in a couple of months will disappear. And I believe Playwright is on that path to grow heavily and might be the tool of future. And if you look on the statistics, you might find out that it's already overrun Cypress, and people are still skeptical about Selenium. Even it looks like it's getting like second brief or second life. There is a lot of move about Selenium out there. So I was just betting on Playwright, and many people like it, are interested, and I'm getting good feedback. And so that was the reason. I believe in a tool, in short.
Got it. Yeah, that's totally understandable. I see that the hype around and all discussions are really around the Playwright. And I suggest everyone who are listening to us, if you have not checked it out, please do. This is something that you can play with, definitely. In terms of the challenges, the last question related to the actual technology part and the challenges that you experienced. So there are lots of obstacles that asks some human involvement. What about CAPTCHA? So lots of web application are having CAPTCHA thing. So how Playwright and how the bot overall can deal with it. And
Could I make this question a bit broader?
Yes, sure.
I've got an email from one of our potential customers, and they were a bit, I wouldn't say rude, but very like assertive in their communication. And they said, I don't need to have any call. I don't want to discuss with you. Here is my website. Prepare demo on that, record the video, and send me the demo via video to me. And they said, and so I start. And first thing what we were facing is that they blocked any bot to be executed against their website. So if we are discussing that we want to automate something, you need to set up your testing environment for that. And are we testing CAPTCHA or are we testing some other stuff there? So if I'm a security tester, let's call it in this way, okay, then discuss CAPTCHA. But if I am functional test automation guy dealing with all the processes behind, why I should slow down each and every test by logging in? And you could use any approach to logging in. But if I'm automating, I don't know, registration, then I'm focusing on registration. If I'm automating food ordering, then I'm focusing on food ordering. But I think all the authentication and authorization features which might be out there should be handled when I want to test them, not during each and every step. And going back to your CAPTCHA. So this is not tool for testing CAPTCHA. So if you want to test CAPTCHA, use the proper tool for doing so. If you want to test something functional, make sure that your environment is ready to pass through that security features, which are super important to test, which are super important for your production. But you want to make your testing efficient, not, of course, always fun, because this would be fun to make sure that you could pass through the CAPTCHA through each and every step. But this is not this is not the tool for that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this tool is focused on functional testing and not security fights. That's totally understandable. But
But
this
still
is
you can deal
something
with
that
that. Yeah, you can deal with that, but you need to understand that there is some storage of browser. In that storage there are some variables. These variables are called like tokens and expiration days and so on. And you need to store this into the browser so your browser behave in a way that you already pass through all these things. So you need to set this thing up before, and the tool could, this Playwright bot can handle that, but you need to understand these technical topics to make sure that it would work. So
Yeah, but I've been asking just also this capture to be able to break through the capture also opens some business related projects. That's why I'm asking that one of the
yeah, this is
issues.
typical
Yes.
discussion. I know, but sometimes you need to understand that for simple projects, or if you want to spend a lot of money on automation, you can make it in complicated way. It's possible. You can bring your captchas everywhere and deal with it, or you would just isolate each and every topic and focus on that individually and test it piece by piece or component or functionality or model one by one.
I understand that we have another question in a chat. I can't see it, but I understand. Can we use Playwright for mobile testing, right? Is it the question you said?
No, it is not Playwright per se, but this. So Playwright in this context is more like actuator or robot
Yes, sure, the bot.
to do something. Yes, and one of our viewers is asking, can we use this for mobile testing as well? Probably you get this question a lot.
In short, I would say no. If you would like to hear some more details or some context, there is some experimental feature for Android. I never tried with Playwright, so maybe that would work. And the only thing what you could do with this is to run emulation of mobile web. So if you have responsive design and you want to test how it works on tablet or iPhone or any other mobile, then you could run this using that emulation. It's simple config. You can run it in parallel against multiple configurations like different browsers, resolutions, mobile on or off. So this is all possible, but like native apps are not there. But this could be built, as I said during my talk, this could be built even for API. You just need to change the data you are feeding in and all these things. So I was hoping that I'm sharing more the idea rather than the tool itself. That was just demo and example how this could work. But if you are considering to use some simple efficiency booster, you could automate some steps because that's the idea behind. So the creation of tests might be automated by running some set of prompts and data collectors. And then it's simple as it is here in my example.
Sure. Going back to the ideas, so different levels of autonomy are defined by the level of control that software has and decisions that it is able to make. So one particular question that I have about the slides, on one of them, there was priority for user stories and test scenarios. So how the algorithm assigns priority to something. So just
Yeah, I actually made some instructions as a part of my prompt, but if you have prioritization framework or any methodology, you can attach that and that will follow that priorities. I think it's very similar to any other prioritization approach. When we are running it across the team, we usually agree what is important and what is not. And it might be based on various parameters. In my case, it's simple prompt, part of the prompt. There is no big magic behind or any heavy methodology. But if you would have some data from, as I mentioned, the production logs, if you would have the production logs, and you can have some statistics, which feature is used how often, then you might maybe use that for the prioritization, or you might have something like business impact for each and every feature and use that one. So now it's a bit wild in my implementation, but you can make it more standard or standardized following some methodology.
And Sarah and Maria, one more question. Are you aware of any, I would say, competing implementations? So for somebody who is also trying, give us a URL and we will test the site using AI.
I do.
And I will not tell you.
No. Yeah, there are a couple of other tools trying to implement. There are some which are like traditional one, where they are just improving the steps or the features of the automation. But there are also some other tools out there using this approach and still growing and popping up. So I don't know. Do you want a list or do you want to? Because I'm a bit worried that I will not mention them all because I don't know them all. But I can give you some examples, or if you want.
I go on.
Okay, so one what I notice is Apply tools. They were originally a visual testing tool, and now they introduce, or I think it's already 6 months or so. During the summer, I think they introduced something what we are working on. But this is commercial tool, and I'm considering them more to as a competitor to our commercial part. This one, what I was showing is open source. It's free. You can use it. You can tweak it. You can play with it however you want. So I'm considering them more as a competitor in that area of that commercial part of our tooling or business. Then you probably know Lambda test. If not, this is a big player out there, and they are not building exactly the same what we do, but they are integrating these features for something they call Kana AI. But I think they do not have still public version. They said, I was talking to their founder a few weeks ago, and he said that they are now working with the first customers to implement it. Yeah, and there are a couple of more. I don't know. I could keep going.
You tried Cheeky AI from Jason Arbon.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, actually, I was talking to Jason a couple of times, and it looks like he's at early stage and it's closed. So that's why I'm not using that. He's mentioning him because even you would go to his page. I was trying to register myself. Hi, Jason, to try your tool, and I didn't get the access, so that's why I'm not mentioning him. He's building something amazing, but until I don't touch it, I don't wanna talk about that because I don't know. I don't know what how it would work. I saw the demos. We discuss directly together, but I don't know what is the current stage of the tool. It's a brand he's building. There is a lot of ideas around. I saw the Chrome extension he built, but I don't know whether it's still alive. So that's one of the maybe idea you could explore, but there are much more and bigger companies like 100
Thank
plus
you,
people.
Marcel, for giving the names. We'll go through them one by one. And I want just I have checked the chat and have not seen any questions. Please submit the question right now, otherwise we will not be able to address it. Conscious of time, but let sum up. Let's sum up and tell us, Marcel, who is this tool that you've been showing us in the demo? is would be helpful, which teams it will be helpful, and maybe types of businesses that you think would be helpful to use such tool?
I think anywhere where you are building web app and you need to automate this UI testing, the tool is useful because it's just addition to your, or to simplify it, if you use Playwright, this is just addition. So all the Playwright test automation guys could use that as a tool. If you use any other test automation tools, you can take this as an idea and build your own. Maybe first would be very simple one and you just advance, or you can open source and bring other communities there and build the same. So it's the current example of how to build this auto generation tool is for Playwright users. If you are not using Playwright, it won't work for you. This is the maybe technical view on that. If we are now discussing, okay, I don't have any automation, and this might maybe solve my problem being able to automate because I am not very good on that, or I am looking at some options, then this might help you to start easier and quicker than using some other automation tools. If you combine Playwright with this Playwright bot, then it will speed you up. But still, you need to have a technical knowledge. It's not like this will replace complete knowledge by using the tool, but you don't need to do some of the annoying tasks like rewriting screens into test cases. And of course, you still need to improve them. So that's the other persona, if I could call that. But in general, whoever need to test web, this is useful. There is no one industry. I cannot tell you now that only banking apps could be covered, or only in Europe you can use it, or anything. I have no such restrictions in mind or any limitations in mind which need to be considered. If you need to test web app, that's something which could help you.
Yeah, sounds very good. Thank you, Marcel. Thank you for your presentation and for being with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
too.
you.
I hope
It
you
was a
enjoyed.
very interesting
I did.
discussion. Thank you.
So for everyone who is listening to us, Marcel showed a very good example of how you can work with LLMs, with different LLMs, and using Playwright, or you could use the idea of using some other similar tool. But if you want to build your own LLM, I have good news for you. Exactpro AI testing course is the right starting point for everyone taking first steps in AI. The course offers extensive theoretical and practical parts needed to comprehend, create, train, and test intelligent systems. It provides guidance on building AI and ML capabilities to facilitate testing of complex systems. Black Friday is out there, and you still can use the promo code for your discount. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for the updates, and follow us on LinkedIn, X, YouTube channels. And I wish you all the best in the upcoming year, and do enjoy this holiday season. I hope to see you all in the next episode of AI Testing Talks 2025. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.